If you spend 5 minutes in the coaster world, you might hear words you've never heard before. We coaster enthusiasts have our own language. If you watch this channel, you hear me say these words all the time and you may not know what they mean. Sometimes the words imply a good thing. I'll get to those later, but today I want to focus on the bad things. We coaster enthusiasts are never shy to voice our displeasure, and we even made up our own words to make it that much more nerdy. So here we go. These are the dirtiest words in the coaster world. I'm going to start with a few honorable mentions. GP, General Public. These are the people who come to a park just to have fun. They're not enthusiasts. They make up 99% of the people at the park. The parks cater to them and not us. And why not? They bring the money. They don't use their dining pass 365 days a year just because they can. The GP as a whole has predictable behavior. They migrate to the coasters in the front of the park first. They tend to fall into traps, like when the station doesn't align with the rows. The GP are normal everyday people who don't eat, breathe, and live coasters, and don't know all the tricks of the trade. Togo. This is a Japanese coaster company that set up an office in the US, put up a bunch of coasters here, and most of them are god-awful. There's a reason I made them this fancy logo. Togo has a reputation, at least here in America. Last one, Hang and Bang. Vekoma may be awesome now, but in the late 90s and early 2000s, they were a problem, and they poured 7 of these family suspended coasters around America and Australia. I don't know what it is about the hang and bang. You hang, your head bangs. Those transitions are weirdly bad. There's basically no thrill level, and you're gonna have sore ears by the end. Number 20, Boomerang. In 1984, Vekoma opened the first Boomerang, and you've seen these. 2 spikes, cobra roll, loop, goes up and does the course forward, then goes back up and does the course backward. It's good enough, but you blink and suddenly there's 53 of them out there. You can park hop and hit a different Boomerang every day. I went to Elish Gardens, to Worlds of Fun, to Six Flags St. Louis, and I thought I was living in Groundhog Day. So, bottom line, enthusiasts are sick of these. Number 19, SLC. In 1994, Vekoma decided to torture us again, introducing their Suspended Looping Coaster, or SLC. These have good 5-inversion layouts, but crush your head against those bad restraints. And you blink, and suddenly, there are 42 of those out there. If you ask an enthusiast what their least favorite coaster is, there's a solid 50% chance they'll name an SLC. So, they're everywhere, and they're no good. That's just a bad combination. The term SLC sends chills down enthusiast spines. Number 18, Parking Lot Coaster. Some coasters are set out in the woods. Some are set with a good setting. Others are plopped down in the parking lot. A totally barren, flat plot of land. Those parking spaces go away, and you get a coaster there instead. Sometimes they dress the area up very nice, like the Superman flyers at the Six Flags parks. Other times, they just leave the parking lot there, don't even bother removing the parking lines. And there you have your true parking lot coaster. It's lazy and automatically takes points away from a coaster. Number 17, Forceless. When you ride a coaster, you want some kind of force. Negative, positive, lateral. But it's a buzzkill when you ride a big coaster and it's totally forceless. It feels like you're riding a monorail. The ride just gives you nothing. The bigger the ride, the worse the Forceless tag is. A ride like Rougarou at Cedar Point looks good from the outside, but after the ride ends, you need someone to wake you up. Number 16, Valley. This is when the train fails to make it through its course. The engineers of these coasters design it so the train can't make it through the course. But there are factors beyond their control that can make a train valley. Usually, it's wind or cold or not enough weight in the train, or a combination of all of that. When a coaster valleys, it has to be shut down for a while. Sometimes they can pull the train back to the station. Other times, they need to take the train apart and bring it back in pieces. It's just never a good time when the coaster valleys. Number 15, Stacking. We love and appreciate parks that run lots of trains, but when the ops are super slow, those trains start to stack. The good news is, you're never sitting there waiting for a train to come back to the station. The bad news is, when you're on the ride, you end up sitting there for 10 minutes waiting to unload. When Hang Time opened at Knott's, they were running 3 trains, but they had zero hope of sending a train out before the train hit the final brakes. So, there were always 2 trains stacked in the brake run, sitting there in the sun, wasting all that time. Stacking is fun for no one. Number 14, Wheel Seat. When you're looking for the smoothest ride possible, especially on a wooden coaster, enthusiasts will tell you to avoid a wheel seat. This is a seat directly over a wheel, and usually that means it's going to be a rough one. When you ride a coaster that has 3 rows per car, your best bet is riding in that middle row. That's not a wheel seat. And I hate to be that guy who buys into every enthusiast theory, but I can vouch for this one. Those wheel seats hit different on coasters like Viper at Great America, and not in a good way. Number 13, Comfort Collar. Premier Rides came out with these about 10 years ago. Tempesto may have been the first one. Those floppy, over-the-shoulder restraints on their way too small trains. They didn't used to have this. Rides like Skyrocket, Full Throttle, Superman Ultimate Flight, that all just had lap bars. But Premier Rides regressed and started putting these floppy things on every seat. They karate chop your neck. They make it hard to get in and out of the trains. They're just annoying and have a very ironic name. Number 12. Ubick. In 2009, when Superman Ride of Steel became Bizarro, the ride got a new lap bar, the Ubick. It derives its name from the shape of the lap bar, having a metal bar on both sides, and a giant brick on your lap, forming a U. Pretty self-explanatory. These dig into your legs, kill all the great airtime the ride used to have, and everyone hates them. They take a coaster that should be among the best in the world and knock it down to just one of the better coasters in the world. It can't ruin it, but it hurts it a lot, and every enthusiast knows the dread of the Ubick. Number 11. Clones. We talked about this a bit with the Boomerangs and the SLCs, but clones in general make enthusiasts roll our eyes all the way into the back of our heads. Parks love them, and why not? They can take a coaster off the shelf and plop it into the park, a whole lot cheaper than buying a custom version, and hardly anyone will ever know the coaster exists anywhere else. Enthusiasts, of course, hop from park to park, so when you go to a park with an SNS free spin, and then 7 more, or ride your 6th Skyrocket 2, your 52nd Boomerang and 38th SLC, you long for that great custom coaster and curse the Six Flags name for all the dang clones. Number 10. Trims. When a coaster goes too fast at any point during the ride, you might pass over a block of track and feel it slow down. You can spot these from a mile away. They usually have a staircase attached to it for maintenance, or more commonly, the mid-course brake run. Sometimes they slow the train down so much and leaves you wondering what could have been. Trims help control the speed and make maintenance easier on the ride, but when you're about to get a great airtime moment and the train slows down, it crushes your soul. Number 9. Rattle. Rough coasters are bad, but sometimes it doesn't take a full-on rough coaster to make the ride unpleasant. Sometimes, rides just have that weird, dull, annoying rattle. That vibration on the track that jiggles your brain, crushing those brain cells you have left over. And if you already have a headache, that rattle is going to make it so much worse. If you go in feeling good, rested, hydrated, nice and fresh, the rattle won't bother you as much. But even some of the great new modern coasters have a rattle, and it's maddening. Number 8. Pothole. Where the rattle is continuous and mild, the pothole is sudden and jarring. Just one spot in the track where you're going along just fine, and bam! It's like you're in a car and you run over a pothole. You're left dazed and confused, and you want to get out and check your tires to see the damage. TMNT Shellraiser is famous for its pothole, or potholes. And because it's concentrated in one spot in the track, it's something the parks can more easily address, if they want to. Number 7. Derailment. It doesn't get much worse than a coaster train derailing. In the worst case scenario, the train derails and falls off the track. But more likely, a derailment is partial. Ninja had the front 2 cars hanging off when it hit a tree. Other coasters have had the back car come loose, and most of the time it'll just cause some damage to the track, train, and the station. Still, it's one of the scariest things that can happen, one of the few things that can cause death at a park, and something the rider has no control over. Number 6. Assigned seating. When you wait 2 hours for a ride, the last thing you want to do is to be told where to sit. Your position on a train is everything. Sometimes you want the rush of riding in the front row. Most enthusiasts will target the back row. That's where the best forces are. But you're in line for Lightning Rod or Steel Vengeance for 2 hours and they stick you in the middle. And at least in my case, I want to judge the ride and I can't do that in the middle. You can plead your case to the employee, and most of the time that works. But there are plenty of times they say, too bad, you go where I tell you to go. This is to help fill the trains and leave no empty seats. But I've found people are pretty good at finding the shortest row and filling the trains themselves. And I've seen plenty of trains go out half full because the seat assigner is not fast enough. Let the people find their own way and get rid of this crazy idea of assigned seating. Number 5. Jackhammer. We talked about rattles and potholes. Those are usually reserved for steel coasters. Jackhammer is more commonly used for wooden coasters. This is exactly what it sounds like. Violent up and down movement. Those wheels made of triangles. That track full of rusty nails. I'm talking Hades 360. I'm talking Blue Streak at Conneaut Lake Park before it closed. Great American Scream Machine before it got retracked. Predator before its Titan track. Wild Beast at Canada's Wonderland when I rode it a couple years ago. You're in a paint mixer and there's nothing you can do about it. Just impossibly rough. Number 4. One Train Ops. I complain about too many trains. That's stacking. But one train ops is just the worst. The thing that makes coasters better than flat rides is the ability to run multiple trains, keeping that line moving. But sometimes, parks choose to run one train on their ride. So you have to wait for the train to load, run its course, hit the brakes, crawl back to the station and unload, and then you can get on. Some coasters and parks only need one train. The ride isn't popular or the park doesn't draw that many people. Darien Lake only has one train for the coasters. But when you have a ride like Wonder Woman at Fiesta, Texas, that's seating 8 riders per train, and there's only one train in operation. That's dreadful. Other coasters like Boomerangs can only run one train, so not anything you can do about that. It really makes you appreciate parks like Kings Island. They will run as many trains as they can at all times. Number 3. Line jumping. Aside from riding coasters and complaining, the coaster enthusiast waits in line more than anything. It's a rite of passage. Unless you break the bank and buy a fast lane, you just gotta wait your turn. Some people don't see it that way. They practice the art of line jumping, an art that will get you a one-way ticket to hell. Not sure if that's true, but if it was up to me, it would be. Sometimes they just find a spot to hop into the line and assume no one's gonna notice. Other times they shove past you, pretending there's someone in their party up ahead. We all know you're lying, but what are you gonna do? Get in a fight? Yeah, probably not. Line jumping sucks. Don't do it unless you pay the park to do it. Then it's okay. Number 2. Staple. You may have seen my shirt. Don't staple me, bro. This is when the ride-up shoves your lap bar down so far, your pelvis actually fuses to the seat. It's one thing for the ride to staple you. Usually, positive G's will do that. But when the ride-up does that to you before you even leave the station, well, that can make a 2-hour wait totally useless. You can't enjoy the ride's forces and you're in pain the whole time. I know, rider safety is first and foremost, but there's a line between being safe and allowing the rider to actually enjoy the ride. If you're stapling, you're robbing the rider of that experience, and a good ride-up knows when to stop. It takes a lot of room for someone's legs to get out from under the bar. You don't need to be smashing people to be safe. Number 1. Headbanging. There are a lot of words to describe roughness on here, but I think the worst thing a ride can do to you is bang your head. We joke about losing brain cells when the ride has a rattle or when it jackhammers, but some rides will actually play pinball with your head. Usually, the shorter you are, the worse it's going to be, but any ride that has a restraint around your ears is going to do it. This is every SLC without a new age train. I remember Windjammer at Knott's as a bad headbanger. Even some B&Ms like Firebird can be guilty of this. We all know of a good headbanger on a credit list, and I think that's an automatic ticket to the bottom of our rankings. Okay, those were the dirty words. Let's talk about some of the good ones. Buzz bar. This is the single position lap bar you'll find on PTC trains on wooden coasters, like Phoenix at Knoebels, or Cornball Express at Indiana Beach. These cannot possibly touch your lap, so when you find a buzz bar woody with good airtime, that's glorious. Airtime. Well, this is what this channel is all about. The negative G-force on a coaster that brings you out of your seat. Floater is when it gently lifts you up, ejector is when it violently tosses you up, and flowjector is a mix of both. There is nothing better in my opinion, obviously. Walk on. This is when you walk up to a ride and walk right onto the train. No waiting. Just as you approach the gates, they open up as if the ride was made just for you. Rollback. The coveted rollback. What enthusiasts dream of. This is usually reserved for an intimate accelerator, especially Top Thrill Dragster and King to Ka. Now, everyone gets a rollback on Top Thrill 2 by definition, and King to Ka's gone. But before that, sometimes the train wouldn't make it all the way over the top hat, so you got to come down backwards over 400 feet. I never got one, but it does sound like a lot of fun. It is totally safe. The launch track is meant to double as a brake run if the train doesn't make it over, so no big deal. Just re-rack the train and try again. ERT. This means exclusive ride time. If you're part of a coaster group, this is where it comes into play. The park is close to the GP, and your group gets the ride all by yourself. This is where you get all your laps in. Over in Europe, I got double-digit laps on Periton, Helix, Balder, and Wildfire, thanks to ERT. Hang time. Not the coaster. That's actually not one of my favorites, but hang time is a force like airtime. It's just when the train flips over upside down and lets gravity take over, and you're just suspended in mid-air. Intamin and RMC are the best at this. It's not as good as airtime, but it's up there. Holding brake. Not everyone loves impulse coasters, but the holding brake has become kind of a legend in its own right. Most impulse coasters started out with this, that 1 second pause on the back spike, but only a few still use it. So when you hear of a park that has an impulse coaster that does it, it's kind of a big deal. Last one, magic seat. Like I said about assigned seating, where you sit is everything. Most rides are best in the back, but some rides have a magic seat. Magnum XL200 has the most famous magic seat, Car 1, Row 3, and having tried it out, it's absolutely no joke. Other coasters like Air Force 1 and Balder have a magic seat in the middle of the train. If you're part of the coaster world, you hear about these things, and for the most part, the story checks out and those seats are amazing. That's a wrap on this video. Let me know what you think of my picks, and if you would add anything to the good or bad list. If you enjoyed this video, please drop a like, and if you're new here and want to see more like this, please give me a sub. I want to thank my Patreons. If you want bonus access, bonus content, and have your name listed at the end of each video, check my links below and join. Also, check out my second channel where I post copyright-free off-ride footage. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all next time.